Hello and welcome to the All Rookie Podcast. Today is June 13th, 2023, and I'm your host, William Harris, aka William is Bill. Today, on this very special episode, I'm going to cover the top 10 international prospects in the 2023 NBA Draft. This is one of my biggest shows that I do every year. I always get a lot of good feedback, and people like it. And I love doing it too. So let's get straight to it like it's nothing to it. But before I get into that list, today was a huge day for the international prospects. 9 international prospects actually withdrew from the draft. So there were about 20 guys in the rankings to be potentially drafted. So almost half of them withdrew. Let me go over those guys real quick. Some of them you've heard of, some of them you have not. First, I'm going to go with Ousmane Ndiaye. He was my favorite that withdrew. You know, the 6'11 big man from the Senegal. I had him ranked in the first round, around 27th. I think I was going to move him to 31st in my last mock draft that's coming up in a few days. But Ousmane Ndiaye has returned and withdrew from the draft. Really like him and his potential. Hopefully he will come out next year. He can be really great. Next, Bobby Klintman from Wake Forest. I was surprised he withdrew because he played at Wake Forest, but he still was an international player because he's from Sweden. So they allowed him to still make a decision on staying or going back. And he's actually not going back to Wake Forest. They say he's going to play internationally. So we will see what happens with Bobby Klintman. He was going to be probably a late first round pick, early second round pick, but he still decides to go back and withdraw from the draft. Next, we have Zvonimir Ivisic, the 7'2 center from Croatia. Really liked his game. Had him ranked 40th. And if I didn't say Bobby Klintman, I had him ranked 36th. Zvonimir Ivisic, have him ranked 40th. He's from Croatia. Good shot blocker. I think he could have been a great backup center in the league, but he's going to go back and redefine his skills. Next, Nikola Duricic, a bit of a surprise as well from Serbia. I really liked him, 19 years old, great footwork, plays like a guard, but he's 6'8", very good player, but he's going back as well. These guys are trying to up their stock for next year, I suppose. Those were my drafted players, in my opinion. So only 4 drafted players, in my opinion, returned to play internationally. The rest of these guys probably weren't going to be drafted or would have been drafting stashes anyway. Michael Caicedo from Spain, 6'6" guard, good athlete, still needs time to develop, was not ready yet. He was my 82nd ranked prospect. Mantas Rubstavius from Lithuania, 21 years old, solid, nice handle, nice crossover, always attacking the rim, but not ready yet. And then guys ranked so low, I never even scouted them. Musa Sagnia, Quinn Ellis, and Armel Traore. So those are my list of international prospects that withdrew from the NBA draft. They will not be eligible. The biggest name you probably know is Bobby Klintman. But for me, I'll go over that list one more time real quick before we get into the top 10 international prospects. The 9 that withdrew: Ousmane Ndiaye, Bobby Klintman, Zvonimir Ivisic, Nikola Duricic, Michael Caicedo, Mantas Rubstavius, Musa Sagnia, Quinn Ellis, and Armel Traore. Now let's get straight to the top 10 international prospects coming into this 2023 NBA draft. We all know who number 1 is. I'm going to go ahead and start with them anyway. We know Victor Wembanyama, the consensus number 1 pick from just about everyone. And in my opinion, I think Scoot Henderson is still the best player in this draft. But the Spurs, there's no way the Spurs are going to pass on Victor. Victor Wembanyama, the 7'5" big man from France. He averaged 21 points, 10 boards, and 3 blocks per game. 30% from 3, has that 8-foot wingspan, but even if he had a no-foot wingspan, he's 7'5". So, he's super long and rangy, of course, can guard the paint, can play offense better than he can play defense. So that's rare, He plays like a guard, but he's 7'5", something we've never really seen before. He has a little bit of Yao Ming in his game on the defensive end and when he plays in the post. But he also can play in the perimeter. So it's something like we've never seen before. Some people say they remind him of Ralph Sampson, but not exactly. He's still kind of working into his body and his fluidity, I feel, is not there where Ralph Sampson was. Because, I mean, he's 7'5". Ralph Sampson was a little bit shorter than, well, he was 7'4", but he still moved better than Victor. But either way, he's worth the risk. Even though we've never seen anything like him, he can do everything on the court that you want from multiple positions. Like you want a point guard to bring the ball up, you want a shooting guard to shoot, center to rebound and block, all that. He can do everything. So you just have to wonder if it's going to translate to the NBA. He played against the G League Ignite, it translated. And that's the closest thing to the NBA. He played against Scoop, held his own, did great. So more than likely, he's going to succeed in the NBA as long as injuries don't take him down, And at minimum, he's going to be a great shot blocker. I just hope he can stay on the court like a typical center, 30 minutes per game or so. Like guys like Bol are in the NBA now, they play like 20 minutes per game. Being so long and skinny, teams try to protect those guys because most 7-footers are not meant to run like 82 games per season like they are, and up and down the court, cutting, dunking, jumping, blocking. It's hard on a tall, skinny players or tall, big man's legs, feet. They all normally seem to get hurt. So let's hope Victor has a healthy career. And, all the questions can be answered on the court. Everyone has their own opinion, but I think Victor will succeed in San Antonio. It's probably the best landing spot for him and the safest place for him to land to where he has a soft landing. If he was in New York or LA or Boston, probably wouldn't be great. But everyone knows about Victor Wembanyama. Let's go to the number 2 prospect, Bilal Coulibaly from France as well, Victor's teammate. He is rising up draft boards ridiculously. He averaged 12 points and 4 boards and 1.5 steals, 0.6 blocks. He's currently playing now, so those stats will probably go up because he's getting better as the season is going on. But nice long handle, very long rangey athletic guard, but he can shoot the ball and get to the rack and create his own shot. So that's what people want to see. Very nice, smooth moves. He has the aggression and skill to attack the paint as well. So I think he could be special if he continues to develop. I don't think he's polished right now, but maybe in a year, he's definitely going to be starting on some NBA team, contributing, whether it be role player or top 3 option. We will see, but that is what it is right now. Next, I have at number 3, Tristan Vukcevic, the 6'10" big man from Serbia, averaged 8 points, 3 boards, 1 assist, half a block and half a steal per game. More importantly, he probably shot 40%. You heard me right, 40% from 3 and 70% from the field. Now, a lot of these players' numbers are down. You're like 8 points, 10 points, 12 points. A lot of these guys did not play a full complement of minutes. When you're overseas, when you're international, the younger guys normally don't play as much. They play the veterans. The veterans are more win now. The young guys are more in the developmental stage or have to earn their minute stage. So Tristan only played in 15 minutes per game. But in those 15 minutes, he showed his talent is through the roof. Shoots the 3 well. Like I said, he's 6'10", 40% from 3. I mean, just that stat right there could get you in the first round. So, he moves great, athletic big man, great cutter, can shoot it from anywhere, good putback rebounder. I wish he would get more rebounds. He's going to have to work on that, work on more playing in the paint. I had him in the 50s originally because he's so perimeter oriented, but I do have him moving up my board. A lot of American players and international players have withdrew from this class, so he has moved up a lot in my board. So Tristan Vukcevic is one of the top international prospects now. He was in this range anyway, maybe 2 or 3 spots down, but now he's number 3. Number 4, Berk Bayuktuncel from Turkey. Very impressive shooter. Can handle the ball as well. He's 6'9", 210 pounds. Great spot-up shooter. He's a lefty, very skilled player. You can tell in his movements and passes that he just knows what he's doing, like a veteran. He can play in the post or perimeter. Nice little crossover. His height should help him survive what he can't do athletically. I think his shooting will definitely translate. So Burke Boyuktinsel will be a mid-second round pick, in my opinion. He should be at least. So look out. Next, Vincent Valerio Bodon. He's a guy that came across my radar when American players withdrew. It was like 100 American players withdrew. Not all of them were good, but say 20 or 30 of them that I had draft eligible in that range withdrew. So that brought in a whole new group of rankings for players, and then I was able to scout Vincent Valerio Bodon, the 6'10" small forward from Hungary. 22 years old, averaged 8 points, 4.5 boards, 1 steal, and 1 block per game. But he moves very well for his size. He's basically like a 6'6" small forward, but he's 6'10". Really good three-point shooter, great form, can shoot it off the dribble too, not just a shooter, not just a spot-up shooter. He can take it to the rim. He mainly plays below the rim, but he still can do things with the ball, which is very good. He's a good cutter and mover without the ball as well. Smart, crafty player that can operate in traffic. And he's not raw at all. He has a really high basketball IQ, and he plays pretty good defense too. He's a good shot contester. So Vincent Valerio Bodon, I have him in the 40s or early 50s right now. He could rise up a little bit now with all these international players dropping out. So he's a guy to keep your eye out on. Next, James Nagy. That's right. James Nagy is number 6 on my list. The big man from Barcelona. Everyone has him. If anyone else was doing this list, he'd be probably 3rd behind Bilal Coulibaly. But for me, he's 6. He is 6'10", 225 pounds, only averaged 4 points, 2 boards, a half block per game, because he's raw. He's raw and a bouncy big that would need to play in the G League for a long time, in my opinion. He pretty much can only dunk and block shots. That's not special. That's not first-round talent to me. I mean, I love that he's a super high leaper, plays the pick and roll well, runs the floor well, but the way he plays defense is not lockdown defense. The way he plays defense will get him in a lot of foul trouble in the NBA. So I think he's got a lot to learn. I think he needs a lot of skill that he needs to develop as well. Sure, you can come in the NBA and play spot minutes and play defense and get rebounds, but just being a rim running big is not necessarily what the NBA is looking for. That has worked for Jalen Duren. I mean, he looks great in Detroit. So a lot of people are saying, can he be Jalen Duren? If he can, yes, he's worth it. To me, the other 90% of big men that can only run, jump, and block don't really pan out, don't really get consistent minutes. You need some sort of offensive game. And, Jalen Duren is actually developing a little bit of an offensive game. So we'll see what James Nagy does and how he develops. He's 18 years old. We'll see where he lands, but he's number 6 for me right now. And number 7, another surprise, Ryan Rupert from France. Average 7 points, 2 boards, almost a steal and an assist per game. 37% from the field, which is really bad. 31% from 3, which is pretty good. But he's 6'7", 192 pounds, 19 years old, has a 7'2" wingspan. Basically, a smaller version of James Nagy. But no, extremely small. Opposite ends of the spectrum. James Nagy is cut, ripped, big. Ryan Rupert is tall at 6'7", but he's really skinny, long, and raw as well. And he's not a good shooter, has a slow release on his shot. He's not a naturally talented basketball player. Seems like he's only been playing for a few years. Like someone saw him and said, hey, you should play basketball. He's like, what, really? But I think he is a long ways away from being an NBA caliber player. He looks like a deer out there running around. It's not natural at all. So, I mean, it's amazing that he shot 31% from 3 because he can't really shoot. So people love that length and wingspan, but in my opinion, he should have returned to international play, or maybe he can be a draft and stash. But the community seems to love him and think he's a top 20 to 30 pick in this draft, and that's just crazy to me. I haven't been drafted in the 50s. I don't know what else to say. Next, I have Nadir Hippie or Hi-Fi. I just talked about him in my last episode, but he is another guy that I just came across in my rankings. Like I said, with Vincent Valerio Baudin, came Nadir Hippie. He is around 6'2" from France. A lot of French players. He averaged 17 points, 3 assists, and 1 steal, 35% from 3. Really good point guard, really fast point guard. Yeah, he was in my comparison list. I said he could be Fred VanVleet type, and possibly better because he's a really fast point guard and he can do everything that Fred VanVleet does, but faster. So, I mean, you got to love that. He needs some more polishing, but, I think he could be really good. So if you're getting him super late in this draft, just like Fred VanVleet was undrafted. So Nadir Hi-Fi, Hippie, well worth the risk because the game is there. I wonder how tall he is. I'm going to label him at 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2", 6'3". We will find out that for sure at the time of the draft. But I'm a fan of Nadir Hippie. He's number 8 on my list. Number 9, and if he was 6'6", 6'5", 6'4", I mean, he'd be a lot higher than that. He's really good. Now, number 9 on my list, Juan Nunez. If I didn't say Nadir Hippie, I have him ranked in the 50s right now. But 9, Juan Nunez, I have him ranked 82nd. He's from Spain, 6'4", solid international point guard. Nothing special, nothing crazy. Really good passer. Runs the team like a traditional point guard. I figured he would probably stay overseas. He was the FIBA MVP, but he stayed in this draft. I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't think he should be drafted. But we will see. I don't see really a spot for him in the NBA. But there's always the international game to fall back on if you don't get drafted. So next, number 10. Number 10 is kind of like 10A, 10B, but Malcolm Cazalon, because I do have a bonus for you. But Malcolm Cazalon from Mega Basket. He's French, averaged 11 points, 2 steals, shot 34% from 3. He is 6'6" and 212 pounds. Malcolm Cazalon moves well with the ball. He's a lefty. He's athletic. But at times he goes up weak, and kind of wild. He'll just throw a one-hander up there off the glass as opposed to going up against contact and getting contact and going to the free throw line. His shot is iffy, takes a lot of bad shots, and when he misses bad. So there's some development that still needs to arise. He dribbles well, makes some very nice passes, setting up his teammates, but not quite ready yet. I think I have him ranked 84th. But, give or take, it doesn't matter. 60 guys get drafted yearly. This year it's going to be 58. So no matter if you're 80, 90, 75, 75, if you're not consistent top 50, you got a long road ahead. Now, 10B, like I said, you want to say 11, I'm going to throw a bonus in here for you. Nikos Rakavopoulos. Nikos Rakavopoulos. There's a hard one to say, but he is staying in the draft. He's Greek. He's 21 years old, averaged 16 points, 6 boards, and 1 steal per game. And my scouting report on him is he's a solid international player. Good size, really good shooter, but I don't think he's an NBA player. He's not really in good shape or athletic. Seems like a international player that stays international and flourishes over there for 8 or 9 years and then tries to come to the NBA later, or just stays international for his whole career. So Nikos Rakvopoulos, 6'8". He has the height, but will anything else work? We don't know. Now, we have seen Jokic and Luka play with not the best shape or conditioning, and they flourish. So it's possible, but I don't think Nikos is, that elite of a prospect to not be in shape. Let's put it like that. So that's my top 10 international prospects in this 2023 NBA draft. I think 7 of them, maybe 8, have a good chance of getting drafted. Let's go over them one more time before we get out of here. Number 1, Victor Wembanyama. Number 2, Bilal Koulibaly. Number 3, Tristan Vukcevic. Number 4, Bert Bjorktensel. Number 5, Vincent Valerio Bodon. Number 6, James Nagy. Number 7, Ryan Rupert. Number 8, Nadir Hifi or Hi-Fi. Yet to hear that name, so we'll see. Number 9, Juan Nunez, FIBA MVP. Number 10, Malcolm Kazalon. And number 11, Nikos Ragvopoulos. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Did I leave someone out that you love? Let me know. I'm going to throw a quick note in here for Yannick Craig. You know, if I could have him on here, he would be third on my list. Yannick Craig is 6'8", 4 from Spain. Well, from the Netherlands, played in Spain. As y'all know, I had him ranked in the 30s. If you didn't know, I do. He would have been right after Bilal Koulibaly. His name was not announced as far as withdrawing from this class, but it's been said that he may have already been withdrawn from this class before this. I cannot find information anywhere. I will stay on that for you guys, because if he's still in this draft, he's third on this list, Yannick Craig. If he's not, that's why I left him out, just in case. But he's been in all my mocks and big boards so far. But international prospects are not as accessible as college players, G League players. So right now, don't have that. But Yannick Craig is an honorable mention. He would have been third if he's still in this draft. We'll let you know as soon as I find out. Thank you all for listening to the All Rookie Podcast. Until next time, I'm out of here. Peace. Subscribe, review.